So, warm welcome to all of you to this evening's or today's session, where we are going to speak about how to manage anxiety and depression and to the in extension insomnia, panic attacks, and all these different mental imbalances that exist today. Now, before we start, I just want you all to sit down comfortably wherever you may be and just take a minute to look at yourself, which means take a look and observe what is happening in your mind at this time. And as you observe your mind, observe your thought process. And as you observe, try to look deeper and see if you are holding any kind of fears in your mind. Are there fears in your mind? Take a moment and observe yourself. And if there exists any kind of fears in your mind, question yourself, ask yourself, why do I have fear? What is causing the fears? Try to identify the reasons for your fears. Thank you. So when we take a look at all these, what I call mental imbalances, and mental imbalance means that my mind is not working the way it should work. Why do I say so? Because a healthy mindset would only create thoughts that would bring benefit to us. But if my mind is not creating healthy thoughts, something is telling me that I am not thinking right. Why? Because if I am thinking right, then my life would have been right. So, if you look at the people who have or suffers from whether it's insomnia, whether it is panic attack, whether it is anxiety, whether it is depression, behind all these mental imbalances, if you take a deep look, you would realize that they are all based on fears. Every single one of them. Now, when our mind is affected by fear, what happens? We begin to create a whole lot of thoughts. And out of all those thoughts that we are creating, all of them are negative. Once you are under the influence of fear, it is very difficult to create a positive thought. And so once there is fear in the mind, you would realize that the quality of thoughts that a fearful mind is creating would be all negative. So why is it so easy to create negative thoughts? One, we were not being educated on how to think. And this means that, okay, we all think, but we all think that the way we think is right. Now, if I think and I believe that the way I think is right, then my life should be right. But if my life is not right, something is telling me that my thinking is not right. And that's why there is a good saying that says that the quality of my life depends on the quality of my thoughts. I repeat, the quality of my life depends on the quality of my thoughts. And this is telling me that however I am thinking, these thoughts are going to form the basis of the life that I am creating. Once we are suffering from fears, we could never be at peace and we could never be happy. Once there is fear in the mind for something or another, we can never be at peace and we can never be happy. Because fear is such that it is destroying peace of mind. Now, let us take a look at why we create fears in the mind. So, it is quite normal, well, we say normal, to have fears. People say it's normal to have fears. It is normal to be fearful of the dark. It is normal to be fearful of bandits. It is normal to be fearful of earthquakes. It is normal to be fearful of anything. There are so many types of fears. And not only fears of external things. We are also fearful of dying. We have fear of losing those who are close to us. We have fear of losing maybe our jobs. We have fear of not earning. We have fear of not getting a proper job or losing the job. We have fear of so many losing things that we think belong to us. So there are so many fears. We have fears for everything. And the simple fact of creating fear in the mind, and why do I say that fear is created in the mind? Because the fear is not coming from outside. No. Fear is being created in my mind through a single thought. I see a situation that for me it's not right. Someone tried to steal someone's purse in front of me. What starts happening in my mind? Fear. Then my heart starts to beat. Where does it start? From a single thought. And that thought then produces an effect. We call it energy. That energy that we produce through that thought of fear then goes and starts feeding our entire body. And this means that every single thought that we create goes and feeds every single cell in our body. So what are we feeding our bodies with constantly? And by constantly feeding our bodies with fears, damage starts taking place because fears are considered to be negative. Fear really is weakness of our emotions, it's a mental weakness, it is spiritual weakness. A fear is a weakness. It is mental weakness, weakness of the mind, emotional weakness, and spiritual weakness. So when we are spiritually weak, then all these different fears start popping up. All the little things we are fearful. And this shows or reflects weakness in spirit, weakness of the mind. And so there is a saying that says, healthy mind, healthy body. So healthy mind, healthy body means that once my mind, my thoughts are healthy, then naturally my body will be healthy. But what does it mean to have a healthy mind in order to have a healthy body? So a healthy mind would mean a mind that is free from waste, free from negativities. Because every single negative thought that you create starts doing damage to you. The moment you enter, you create that thought of fear, what starts happening in your body? The mind starts creating lots of thoughts. Mind starts racing. Think about it. Just sit back and think. The moment you enter fear, in a fearful mood, or we say a panic mode means chaos starts happening in my mind. And once there is chaos in the mind, I enter panic mode, then I could never think right. Once you're in panic mode, all the thoughts that you start creating would be negative thoughts. You can take note of it, you can write it, remember it, keep this in mind. The moment I enter into panic mode, the moment I create that thought of fear, my mind starts racing. My mind starts creating hundreds of thoughts at the same time. And out of all those thoughts that I am creating at that time would all be negative thoughts. Because once we are under panic mode, then our power to make the right decisions will disappear. Once we are in panic mode, once there is fear in the mind, then that mind that is under the influence of fear cannot think right. There will not be clarity of the mind with what I should supposed to do, what am I supposed to do at this time. Once there is fear in the mind, all the decisions that I take under the influence of fear will all be wrong decisions. This is the outcome of fear. And once I start taking wrong decisions, and that wrong decision will also lead to more fears. Because a wrong decision means a wrong result, a wrong outcome. And once I start experiencing or receiving wrong results that I don't like or I don't want, for example, if things are not happening the way I want it to happen, it is not working out the way I want it to be, then what starts happening in my mind? Fear. And once you get under that panic mode, once you're under the influence of fear, then more mistakes start happening. And that energy that you are creating and you are producing under the influence of the fears that you are creating, then starts going and feeding your body. And this means that every single organ in your body are receiving the effect of this fear. There are three things, of course, would come later on also, how diseases are created in the mind. And one of the reasons for the majority of chronic ailments is fear. One is fear, one is anger, and the other is resentment. If you look at a cancer patient, you will realize that all the cancer patients has a lot of fears. So for example, let's say someone starts having some pain in their body. They go to the doctor check, he doesn't feel anything. So he just gives the patient some painkillers and send him home because the doctor did not find anything. So this patient now is taking painkillers. Now, if there is a pain in your body, that pain is telling you that something is not right. Pain in your body telling you that something is not right there. If I am taking painkillers, I am just relieving myself of the pain, but I am not taking care of the cause of the pain. I hope you understand that. Every pain in my body is telling me that something is not right. By taking painkillers, I am just relieving myself of the pain, but I am not taking care of the root of the problem. So, the patient continues experiencing pain. After the course of his painkillers, the pain comes back. Again, he will go to the doctor. And again, the doctor will give him some kind of, or maybe a stronger painkiller. But while these patients are taking these painkillers, their thinking is the same. They have not started thinking more positive. Doctors does not say to reduce your stress. Doctors don't tell you to finish with your anger, finish with your fears, finish with all your negativity. So together, while taking the medication, our thinking process is still the same. So what am I feeding my body with? With the same negativity. After some time, and that the effect of those painkillers leave my body, then the pain come back again. Few months would have passed. Then I decide to change the doctor. Now I go to another doctor and I tell the doctor my story. So he might recommend some antibiotics and maybe some more strong painkillers because they are not able to see anything. So here the patient is taking the painkillers and the antibiotics and whatever. But their thinking is still the same. And this means they are still under stress. They're still fearful. They still worry. They still have tension. They still have any other kind of sorrow in their lives. Who knows what is going on in their minds? Because today people have so much stress, so much tension, so much worries and frustrations and anger and fears. They have so many things. All of those leads to some ailment in the body. So the patient continues taking these medications, but their thinking process is still the same. So what are you doing to your body? You are feeding your body with negativity. And at the same time, trying to take some physical medication to relieve yourself of the pain. It doesn't work. So later down the line, when the pain increased, then the doctors decides to take some tests, to do some tests. So they will first take some blood and they will send it for testing, and then they will tell you come a month afterwards. Within all that time, the patient's thinking is still the same. There is still fear, there is still worries, there is still tension, there is still stress, there is still anger. And so, after the month or two, patient goes back. The doctor says that he did not see anything in the blood test. So, again, he gave him some more medications and sent him home. When the medication is finished from his body and the pain comes back, he goes again, then he goes again to the doctor. Now the doctor will start doing what is called a biopsy. And this means they take some tissue from your body and send it to test. That also takes time to come back. But by the time those results come back, the doctor is now telling this patient that you have a tumor there that is causing the pain. But now that tumor has become cancerous. Now, can you imagine the moment a patient hears that word cancer, what starts happening in his mind? Tension starts to flare up. Fear becomes even more. Anger, worry, stress, everything now is even more than before. Is that so? So when your fears, your anger, your tension, your stress, your worry is now even more than it was before, what are you doing to your body? You are making it worse. Where did it all begin? From a single thought. Always remember the saying that the quality of my life depends on the quality of my thoughts. If my life is not at peace, if I am not happy, what should I be looking at? The thoughts I create. Because thoughts are energies. Thoughts are what creates or produces a feeling. Thoughts are what produces emotions. Thoughts are what produces an experience. Where are your feelings or emotions or experiences coming from? It's your creation. It is very easy to blame someone else. Because of that one, I am like this. Because of this, I am like this. Like, for example, during the COVID time, there was a lot of fear in the world. And I keep telling people, I said, the COVID is not killing you. What is killing you is the fear. Because nothing is more deadlier than fear and anger. A virus cannot kill us. Why? Because when there is fear in the mind, fear means weak thoughts. Fear means a weak mindset. So this weak thought, this weak mindset is actually draining us of our energies. The more negative thoughts you create, the more thoughts of fear you create, the more thoughts of anger you create, you are actually depleting your energy level. And that is the energy that we need to fight against whatever virus that is in the air or what is going around. So if I need the energy to fight or combat this virus, it means I have to get rid of my fears, my angers, the worry, the stress. What we call immune system. The immune system in our body is the energy level. And the energy level in our body depends on our thinking. Negative thoughts drains us of our energy, and positive thoughts fills us with energy. That's why by the end of the day, people are so tired and worn out. They feel drained because during the day, together with working, they also create a lot of negative thoughts. Why? Because if you enjoy the work that you do, you'll be happy doing it. And if you're happy doing something, you will never feel tired. But if you're not happy doing what you're doing, and you're creating all these negative thoughts even whilst doing it, then what happens by the time 10 o'clock in the morning? You are tired. What made you tired? Not the work, not the job, but the thinking process whilst doing the job. Like, many mothers, when they wake up in the morning, they start thinking, I alone have to cook, I alone have to clean, I alone have to take the children to school, I alone have to do this, I alone have to wash, I alone have to do everything. So that simple thought of thinking that they alone have to do everything, and this is their thought process during the day. By 10 o'clock in the morning, before lunchtime, they are totally drained. What is draining us? Our negative thoughts. Always remember that negative thoughts drains us, negative thoughts damages, destroys us. Whereas positive thoughts empower us. Now, if each one of us here in this session today just sit back for a minute and check your own thought process today. And ask yourself, how many positive thoughts did I create today? And how many were negative? You are evaluating your own self. And you will know for your own self how many thoughts, how many positive thoughts you created and how many negative. Then we begin to understand the effect of negative thoughts, the effect of positive thoughts. So when we create all these negative thoughts in our mind, thoughts of fear, thoughts of anger, thoughts of resentment, what we are doing really, we are depleting our energy level. And so when our energy level is low, then any virus that passes will attack us because we do not have the energy, the power in our bodies to fight against any virus or disease in general, any disease. If you can have a disease, maybe cancer, maybe diabetes, or there are so many others, arthritis and asthma, all of these things. But if those patients have a strong mindset, and this means they are positive towards whatever comes to them, and they say, okay, you're here, welcome. I am going to handle you or deal with you or take care of you. That is a positive mindset. A negative mindset will be a mindset that says, oh my gosh, where did this come from? What will happen now? Am I going to die? This is two different mindsets. So a positive mindset, a strong mindset will tell me, okay, you're here, welcome. I'm going to take care of you. The positive mindset will build the courage. A positive mindset will build the strength, that inner strength, and deal with the problem. Whereas a negative mindset will start thinking, how did I get this? Where did this come from? But I never did anything to get this. And all the other thoughts that follows will all be negative. What negativity is doing? Damaging me more. So what am I doing on a daily basis? Am I damaging myself more or am I improving? Or am I empowering myself? Once there is fear in the mind, fear of anything whatsoever, you are actually doing more damage to yourself. So check yourself on a daily basis. When those thoughts come, Tell yourself, I'm not going to sustain these thoughts. Understanding that every single negative thought that you create are doing damage to you. Once you sustain the negativity, you are actually depleting your energy level. Every single negative thought you create is doing more damage to you. But we don't want to continue causing more damage to ourselves. No? So when these thoughts come, we are not saying that it will not come and it don't come. It do come. Awareness means that when it comes, I'm going to tell myself, I am aware that it comes, and I'm going to tell myself that I am not going to sustain you. I'm not going to keep that negative thought in my mind and continue feeding it. The more you feed a negative thought, the more that negativity will grow. And the more negativity grows, the more damage you're doing to yourself. Whether it's thoughts of fear, whether it's thoughts of anger, whether it's thoughts of resentment, for example, because these are the three main, I would call it negative emotions that does the majority of damage, not only to our minds, to our bodies, and also our relationships. No one likes to be around anyone who is constantly angry. No one likes to be around someone who is suffering with fear because they also start getting fearful. So, understanding that these fears that we are creating is because of our weak mindset. We are spiritually weak, we are emotionally weak, and we are mentally weak. How to conquer this weakness? How to empower ourselves in such a way that we have the power to go beyond or to fight this fear and overcome this fear. And there is where meditation comes in. The word meditation derives from a Latin word medere, which means to heal or to cure. And from that word medere comes the words medico. Medico is a Spanish word for doctor. And from that word medico comes the words medicine, medication, meditation. So whilst medication is supposed to heal us physically, meditation heals us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, as well as physically. And that's where the good saying comes that says, healthy mind, healthy body. So here we are going to understand what it means to have a healthy mind in order to have a healthy body. Meditation really is that healing process where I am able to use my thoughts, which are my own energies, to heal myself. Because when they speak about chronic ailments, this is all included in anxiety and depression and so on, because it's a series of lectures, so you will get little by little. When they speak of these ailments, diabetes and heart problems or chronic ailments, for example, these chronic ailments, if you look carefully, if you observe, does not come from any external source. Diabetes don't come from what you eat. No. Why? Because we have seen that even though the doctor tells the patient don't eat sweet, the diabetes don't stop. They still continue having diabetes. So where does it come from? The majority of these ailments are called autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune diseases means, auto means the cell. Autoimmune diseases mean that they have been created by me in my mind. It might be difficult for you to understand or accept, but thinking deeper, understanding your own self, you would realize that you would have been living in this mindset for a long time. That's the reason why we have developed these chronic ailments. It's called psychosomatic diseases also. Psycho means the mind. Somatic means the matter. Psychosomatic means the effect or the power my mind is having on me, the physical body, the matter. Psychosomatic means the power or the effect my mind means my thoughts, which are my own energies, are having on the matter, which is the body. So where are the diseases coming from? It's not coming from outside. Heart disease doesn't come from outside. Arthritis doesn't come from outside. I know many would say they come from what you eat. But eating, the food is physical. But what is the more powerful food is what you feed your mind with. And what am I feeding my mind with constantly? Take a look at your day. Every day in the evening, how many thoughts did I create today that were negative and how many were positive? And there are researches that teaches us that certain thoughts are connected, certain emotions are connected to certain diseases. Sometime in the future, I will explain it. So coming back to this question of anxiety and depression, they are all our creation. They are not coming from an external source. People today are even suffering from nervous problems, nervous breakdown, or they would come and they would say that doctor says that their nerve ends have been damaged. How or what caused the nerve ends to be damaged? So here we are creating all these thoughts of fears. And people today are really, really suffering from a lot of different kinds of fears. Imagine when that aeroplane crashed in India. Not only those who are connected to those who were, let's say, affected by that plane crash suffered, but even those who are not connected in any way, when the accident happened, they also suffered. Fear also came in their minds. Think about those who had to travel after that, thinking about this plane that recently crashed. Everyone who had to travel after that developed fear in their minds. Traveling in the plane and there is fear also. Something can happen to their plane. We are sleeping in the night. We are scared if someone could come, what we call it home invasions here in Trinidad. And so what happens to these patients who are already suffering with anxiety and panic attack, insomnia, nervous problems, depression, is that every single thought of them is so negative. From the time they wake up in the morning, they start thinking, let me go and see, nobody come, nobody outside. They have fear thinking if I go driving and somebody hit my car, or if I get into an accident, if I carry my children to school and someone hit me, my children get into accident. And there's so many negative thoughts that these patients are creating constantly during the day, that it is actually making the fears bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you have fear in your mind, you cannot sleep. You cannot rest. Because what the fear is doing in your mind is just making you think and think and think. And every single thought that you create are negative thoughts based on fears. Even when they go to sleep, okay, they make sure that they lock up their houses, but they still have the fear that maybe someone can open up and come. So fears are so much. Everything is a fear. I know people who even scared to go from one room to another room. People they have so much fear to even be in their own home alone, not even thinking about the darkness, just being alone in the daylight. They cannot be alone. Why so much fear? So this fear is reflecting a spiritual weakness, mental weakness, and emotional weakness. How am I going to empower myself in such a way that I start overcoming and managing these anxieties and these fears? And as I explained earlier on, here is where meditation comes in. So now I'm going to invite you to do a small meditation where we are going to take a look at what is happening inside of us. So I ask you to sit comfortably wherever you may be. Find a relaxed position. Sit comfortably. And for the next few minutes, I will ask you to observe your thoughts. As you observe your thoughts, be aware of what you are creating at this time. And ask yourself, how am I internally? And as you ask yourself, how are you internally? You're also going to try to answer the question. And this gives you a moment to reflect and see what is happening in your mind. And as you observe yourself, check to see if there are any fears in your mind, if you are carrying any hurt, any emotional pain. Observe and see if you are holding any kind of anger, any kind of stress, any kind of worry. What am I holding in my mind at this time? And as you continue to observe yourself, and observe the pattern of thoughts you create. Also observe the effect of these thoughts. If I create a thought of fear, my body will react, and not in a positive way, in a negative way. Because my body responds to every single thought that I create. I continue observing the flow of my thoughts, and I am aware of the effect these thoughts are having on my mind, my feelings, my emotions, as well as my body. I begin to understand that every single pain in my body is reflecting pain in my mind. And pain in the mind means that I am holding some sort of tension, of stress, of worry, anxiety. What am I holding in my mind in such a way that I am experiencing pain in my body? I continue to observe my mind. I continue to see what I am carrying constantly in my mind. And the more I look at myself, the more I am aware of all the hurts, the pains, the sorrows, the angers, and the fears that I have inside of me. And I begin to become aware that all these hurts and pains and sorrows are not only doing mental damage to me, but also physical damage, emotional damage, as well as spiritual damage. understanding that I had been carrying a lot of hurts and pains. I have decided that from today, I am going to let go. I am going to relieve myself of all these hurts, all these pains, all these worries, all these fears and angers that has only caused damage to me. I release it and I relieve myself of these emotional pains. And as I start releasing and letting go of what is past, leaving it in the past, I begin to feel at ease in my mind. And as I release these hurts and these pains, I begin to feel relaxed, allowing new positive thoughts to replace negative ones. And I begin to make an affirmation in my mind. And that affirmation is that peace is my priority. From today, I'm going to keep this affirmation in my mind. And so, whatever comes to me, I will give peace my priority. Thank you. And now we have a few minutes remaining where I can take questions if there is any. So these are, today is just one class. So we're going to have a series of classes, all based on the same topic. And little by little, we are going to look at anxiety and depression at deeper levels. So today we have to understand what we have hoarding inside of us, how much negativity we create, how much sorrow, how much pain, how much anger, and how much fears we have inside, and how much damage it has done to us. So, anyone has any questions that they would like to ask? Don't forget, we're going to continue with the series. So, later on, you will get some more information. Any questions, anyone? Please feel free. No questions?